Hey there, this is Jexy with the Systems Alliance, and in this video, I want to go over this past weekend's box office. So to no one's surprise, debuting at number 1 was Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So this is the second movie in the newest Jurassic Park reboot type of thing. And it opened with over $148 million. So for some reason, some people had it tracking lower or were expecting a lower opening. But to be honest, I was expecting at least that, only because the first movie, Jurassic World, came in at $208 million a couple years ago. So the fact that that one came in so much bigger, set a record for the time with the 208 million. You would think that this one might open a little bit bigger. The first one didn't have the best critical reception. This one had an even worse critical reception, so it's really no surprise that it did drop, but still a solid opening for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Perhaps in bigger news for the movie, its total stands at $729 million worldwide, with its foreign gross already at $567 million. Now, it didn't open just this weekend, so this isn't a new record or anything. It did open a few weeks ago overseas. It's already over $200 million in China alone. So that just kind of tells you, in terms of audiences, you have a movie like Solo, which gets no money in China, and then you have a movie like this, which is already at $200 million. So it's just finding that audience, what they like, and Universal with Spielberg and everyone else seems to know what the worldwide audience likes when it comes to these dinosaur movies. At this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is a lock to hit $1 billion. We'll just have to see how much over $1 billion it gets. It's a little too early to tell, but definitely a lock to hit $1 billion. Probably at least, 1.1, 1.2 billion, but we'll just have to see. Incredibles 2 finished second place, dropping around 55% to bring in $81 million. So currently, Incredibles 2 now stands at $494 million worldwide, and it actually just set a record opening for a Pixar movie in China at $21.2 million. So the fact that Pixar is getting a little bit more popular in China is definitely good for them. The top Pixar movies already gross over $1 billion. This one's going to be no exception to that. And the fact that it's already having its biggest domestic and its biggest international openings as they slowly roll out worldwide, this is big. This will be another $1 billion movie for Pixar, and we'll just have to see if it can beat the record currently held when factoring in inflation. It's Finding Nemo. Ocean's 8 ended up bringing in $11.65 million, dropping just 38% over the weekend, which is a really good hold for any movie. This allowed it to pass the $100 million mark domestically, and total worldwide is just past $172 million. Now, this movie, once you factor in inflation, did have the smallest opening out of any of the Ocean's movies, and has grossed less and will probably be the smallest grossing out of any of the Ocean's movies. But what it has going for it is also the smallest budget of any of the Ocean's movies. So other than maybe the first one, it might be more profitable than, say, the second or third one, since those movies continually made less money as the series went along, but cost more money, whereas this one seems to have found a nice budget and a nice return. Deadpool 2 ended up bringing in $5.25 million, and with that ended up passing $300 million domestic and $400 million international. And its worldwide total now stands at over $707 million. As I said would happen, Deadpool would end up surpassing Solo, a Star Wars story, even though it came out a week prior. And Solo is now down to $4.5 million for the weekend, and now stands at $353 million worldwide. Obviously, as I said before, that total is not going to help it make money. There's no possible way it can make money at this point, with an estimated $300 million budget for just the movie. Add in $175 for the marketing. You need to make around double that, rough estimate. So this film, Solo, Star Wars story, is definitely going to lose Lucasfilm and Disney a lot of money. And in another video, I'll touch on what exactly is going on over there. You hear rumors that they're canceling all of the side story movies like Solo now. Then you hear rumors that they're not canceling any of those movies. Then you hear rumors that Rian Johnson's trilogy is canceled. Then you hear that it's not canceled, and in fact they have 9 more movies lined up with all different directors. So we'll just have to see where it goes. Whether Kathleen Kennedy stays in charge, that's a huge if right now, given that the fan base is pretty toxic towards her right now, and you could argue rightfully so, given the quality of the last 2 movies that Star Wars has put out. Avengers Infinity War is still trucking along, now with a domestic total of $669 million, and its global total now stands at $2,031 million. So it's definitely slowing down. Not sure if it'll get another push in order to get to that $2.1 billion, but obviously a massive success for Marvel and one of the biggest films of all time. And before before the end, I do want to leave off on the movie Rampage, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's movie. Now, that's a video game adaptation movie, different from, say, a Ready Player One, which has video game stuff in it, or Wreck-It Ralph, which has video game stuff in it. This is a direct adaptation from a video game in Rampage. Now, you can argue how it follows the original and everything. I mean, it's an old school Nintendo game, so there wasn't much story in it to begin with. However, they've even kind of gone off that a little bit. But regardless of that, I did want to touch on that it is still in theaters. It is slowing down. It's pretty much near the end of its run. It currently has about 97 million domestic, but over 325 million worldwide, for a total just under 423 million. Now, where does that rank it all time in terms of video game adaptations? Well, it actually puts it third all time. Now, I might be surprised to hear that the number one movie of all time for a video game adaptation, factoring in inflation, is actually the recent Warcraft movie. So even though with inflation it still made less than $50 million domestic, adjusted Warcraft actually made $407 million internationally, for a total of $457 million for its global run. Now, it did cost a lot of money, and it still made some money, though not too much. And when you factor in marketing, it's probably going to have to make some on the home market with Blu-ray sales and the like. But since Warcraft had such a huge run in China, it stands at number one. Number two is the original Lara Croft Tomb Raider. So that movie currently stands at $445 million when factoring in inflation, and actually still holds the record for domestic total. And that's the original I'm talking about with Angelina Jolie, not the most recent one. So I know the running joke out there is that there's still no good movies that are video game adaptations. People still point to the first Mortal Kombat as the best one, and even then it's not really a great movie. But hopefully Hollywood will kind of get their act together and realize it's not that difficult to make a video game adaptation. Just be careful not to follow the original story of the video game, since it's very hard to condense, say, a 40-hour campaign in a video game down to even a trilogy, Lord of the Rings size, of like 9+ hours. Even then, it just doesn't work story-wise. But you can take parts of it and go off of there. So with that, I'd like to wrap it up. Let me know what you think. Will you be seeing the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? Have you seen Incredibles 2 yet? Will you be going to see that? Will you be catching up on any final Deadpool or Avengers, or maybe even Solo Star Wars story if you haven't seen it yet? Let me know what you think. Did you expect Jurassic World to open so big? Were you expecting a little bit more, or were you expecting a little bit less? Let me know, and we'll catch you next time.